before we get into everything, we're recording live on Playback. Follow us on Playback, playbacktv.ball, where we record every main feed episode early in the week. Today is Tuesday, December 19th, and we're going to slop it up today. We're going to talk about the players who are most likely to be traded at the trade deadline. Right now we have in the house Mike Chiodo and Rob Flom. Sam will be joining us shortly. Comeback season is on for Sam. And there he is. Sam is in the building, folks. We will
like
be
Beetlejuice. If you say my name 3 times into the mirror, I will break and enter into your home.
Let's go.
Probably asking for a shower. I still have not had one in 4 days. Thank you to the broken
Let's
water
go.
and everything. So I'm ripe and I'm ready to draft some fellas.
Draft some dudes. Before we get into the actual draft, sign up for the Ball Patreon. We did an episode last week where we talked about the Lauri Markkanen rumors, the Donovan Mitchell rumors. We also have some extra fun stuff that is upcoming for there as well. You can also get access to the Discord. The link is in the description, so check that out if you have not signed up already. So let's just get into this. We're going to have someone join us at some point, but until then, let's get into the players who are most likely to be traded before the trade deadline draft. And I know I usually give the first pick to our guests, but I have one that I don't think anyone's talking about right now, or at least it didn't feel like anyone was talking about it until I heard Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo mention it on their podcast. And I was pissed that we didn't record this before. So I'm going to take the number 1 pick, and there he is. Mr. Parm is in the building.
Let's go.
5 stacks. Surprise guests.
We're fuller than the Epstein logs today, folks. This is a YKB Epstein unsealing edition for all of us. Got all the stars are here.
Everyone in the building right now. And I'm going to lead off with the first pick in the players most likely to be traded in the next 2 months draft before the deadline. And I'm going to take DeJounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks, who until a week ago, I didn't really hear anything about Atlanta. So I'm going to take DeJounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks. The reason I say this is because we have heard some stuff over the last week about Atlanta. We heard over the offseason that the vibes were very bad in Atlanta. We heard some players didn't get along on that team. We heard that there was always some sort of internal stuff going on with Trae Young. And now we're 2 months into the season. Sam's beautiful Atlanta Hawks are currently sitting at 11-14 and only won by 6 points against the Detroit Pistons at home last night, which Will, who can't be here, said to me, that's basically a loss. If you're losing, you're only winning by 6 to this Detroit team. So I think DeJounte is the one that is most likely of the two between him and Trae to be on the move in the next few months. And when that extension was signed, I said, that's a bad extension. DeJounte stinks. And that the league will catch up to this and they won't be able to get off the contract. But before we get to that point, I think this is their last chance to really make the move where they move off DeJounte Murray and get back some value. Only a little over a year since they made the trade. But that's how I kind of feel about the situation. Like, I think they're going to probably try to move him before this contract extension kicks in. I think they're probably going to try to get value back to retweak and build the team in Quinn Snyder's vision now that he's the coach and he's involved in the front office. And I think that DeJounte is, personally, I think he's one of the most overrated players in the NBA. And I also think that there will be a market for him because I think that he is a name. He's made an all-star team and his contract right now is very cheap. And then it goes up next season. So DeJounte is the number 1 pick for me in this draft. So do we have any additional thoughts? Sam, your Hawks are, like I said, they're underperforming so far. Do you think DeJounte is likely to be traded?
I certainly think they would be making the right move if they were to trade DeJounte Murray. Career loser, been on bad teams. They are righting a wrong they did when they took the keys away from Trae Young, playoff god. So this will be a righting of wrongs. I don't know if I trust a post Travis Schlenk brain trust to do the right thing. The other thing about this is this everyone looking and saying, well, here's what Atlanta should do, or is this actually noise from Atlanta? Because my problem with this is that teams don't usually do this. Front offices don't usually do this, which is called admitting they made a mistake this quickly. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that I'm skeptical about when it comes down to this DeJounte Murray trade. And
well, Zach Lowe said on his podcast, there's going to be massive changes in Atlanta. He said,
does that mean him, or does that mean they're getting rid of Trae, though? Because wasn't that the thing last year that they were like thinking about getting rid of Trae and that he's the Kyler Murray of the NBA? And like all of it, he just wants to play Madden alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be open.
Backing though, right?
Yes,
like, Trae is the owner's guy.
Yep.
So the thing with DeJounte is they should trade him, but like, does he have like any value? I imagine they'd have to dump stuff to get off his contract. No, that's what I don't know. Like, is there a team that would trade positive assets for him?
Well, a year and a half ago when he was almost traded, Minnesota was interested, but they wouldn't be interested anymore. No. And I don't think you're going to get a haul nearly as much as what you got and you sent out for him. But I think that maybe you could get an expiring contract and some picks or something.
They should trade him back to the Spurs.
Well, the trade of the Spurs has been the new thing because he commented on an Instagram post about Wemby being a bucket and a problem. But I said, why don't you, if you're Atlanta, just to get control of your draft pack, just trade Trae for the picks that you traded for DeJounte. Done deal. And Keldon Johnson. There you go.
I actually don't hate that, to be totally honest. Like trading Trae for they're going to be bad no matter what, you know, and you let Trae cook, like you'll probably be fine, you know, like, I don't know. They also have all their own draft picks though. They probably want to be bad. So yeah. Trae, I think would impact.
Any team that's actively starting Jeremy Sohan at point guard for the first month of the season, I don't think they really want to be winning games right now. They kind of want to be like a weird artsy creative project. I feel like,
yeah.
More so.
This is the Bushwick girlfriend of the NBA teams. Is much like she's just kind of going out at night, and I'm taking photos of all the graffiti in all of the L stop stations and compiling them. I need you to go out and get glue, and that the glue you're going out to get is Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell for this weird art project.
So DeJounte Murray's the first pick. I don't know which teams could end up trading for him, to be completely honest with you. I do think that he certainly had more trade value a year and a half ago when he was traded. I also think that there are a lot of sucker GMs in the NBA, and I think that teams that kind of want to be like win now-ish or at least get themselves out of a hole, Detroit, I'm thinking of right now. They're going to come up a lot on this podcast. Detroit, like, hey, if you like Cade Cunningham so much, you're going to love DeJounte Murray, who Cade Cunningham just lit up for 45 points last night.
Oh, is it my time?
It's let him cook.
Is it my time?
This is
I want to put out an obituary for my favorite GM in NBA history, Troy Weaver. My hero, the only GM in professional sports who'd made all of his decisions based off of just love and vibes, no analytics. Everyone, and no, I'm being dead serious. Every single guy deserves a second chance. He gave every single one a second chance. He got a Belgian teenager with a titanium hip and said, "You're an NBA point guard." He got 3 bust centers in a row. Gave him all the opportunity to start.
Jaleel
Bojan Bogdanovic as obvious trade bait, kept him around for 3 years just because he was a nice guy. You'll never get that in professional sports ever again. So like, treasure it while we have it. Treasure someone who just loves guys who are willing to go out there and give it a shot.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
It's a shame he has to get fired before he can hire Harry Giles. It's a real tragedy. That would have been that was the missing piece.
I was gonna say, is he gonna try to trade for Ben Simmons? Do the ultimate draft reclamation
That would be
project?
Oh man.
Ben for Cade would kind of be
Oh my god.
kind of make waves. You know what I mean?
Man.
The
It's the
purge
Spider-Man
happens
meme.
in Detroit.
Yeah, Spider-Man meme live in action. That's not fair. Ben has been good. So
Yeah, that's not fair to
I
Ben at
take
all.
that
It's
back.
more
I take
likely
that
that he's
back,
gonna end up trading like Jaden Ivey for Grady Dick. 3.2 points per game or whatever he's scoring right now.
In the G
Telling me.
League. Yeah, I mean, I think that Detroit is a obvious candidate to make some dumb moves at this deadline, like they love to do always. It is kind of shocking that he got an extension. It has, by the way, tomorrow is the year anniversary of Troy Weaver's contract extension. So
Wow.
congratulations to Troy on somehow getting a contract extension despite being the worst team in the NBA for the last 4 seasons and now a historically bad team. So clap for our guy Troy Weaver. But Rob, you have to get out of here earlier than everyone else, so I'm going to let you take. I sent a pool of players to everyone, and I said, here's some guys I think could be traded. Was there anyone on that list that really stood out to you with the second pick in the players most likely to be traded draft?
Are we drafting in order of like most likely to be traded, or just who's more interesting?
I think it's more interesting personally because I think there are certain guys like, sure, there might be a guy that's like really likely to be traded as like Evan Fournier, but also like I don't really care about Evan Fournier. He's just salary filler in a trade.
I mean, Daniel Gafford will be a Celtic, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
In terms of like interesting guys, I'd be very curious for Keldon Johnson's value. You already mentioned him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a Keldon Johnson fan, but I feel like there are probably some GMs who love Keldon Johnson. I'm very curious who those GMs are, what the Spurs want to get for him. That's a guy like I'm kind of surprised there was already buzz they might trade him. Like, he's still kind of young. They're terrible. Like, I don't know. Like, he has they signed him to an extension, but it's not like that expensive, and they also have like no long-term money on their books. So like, I'm not really even a huge fan. I'm a little puzzled as to why they trade him, but it does seem like there's some smoke there, and I feel like they could get a lot for him. I'm not sure like who would make that move, but I'm intrigued by a team that decides like they want to go get Keldon Johnson. I'm guessing it would be like a playoff team who sees him more as like a bench scoring type. Who that would be, like, I don't know, could he be like a sixer? I don't know. He's more of a wing. They need more of like a ball handler type. Like Kelly Oubre kind of does what Keldon Johnson does. But like, yeah, he's like an intriguing name. I was not expecting there to be like trade smoke, but there has been.
So Parm, any ideas for potential teams that could be interested in Keldon Johnson at this deadline? Because you've been talking about Keldon Johnson for a year.
My 76ers, but
Okay.
Daryl is taking 7 Ambien at this deadline. Shit.
So we're already getting Daryl Snorri accusations?
He's on fraud watch until further notice. I'll stand by it. I never believed. I still, in the face of adversity, still don't believe in him or his plans to trade Marcus Morris for magical, mythical players. I don't believe it. I see articles that say people want Tobias Harris. I'm like, why? I watch him play basketball.
Hold on. You said people, plural. There's one person who wants Tobias Harris, and it's Troy Weaver. Like,
they've tried to pawn him off to how many teams already, though?
But also, he's expiring, and so is Marcus Morris. It's any trade that involves Marcus Morris.
The mythical Tobias Harris expiring season. I've been waiting on bated breath for what
4
feels
years.
like half a decade.
It has been half a decade. It's not even an exaggeration. It's been 5. It's been 6
years.
Yeah,
6 years since we acquired Tobias.
It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I can't believe it.
And the Marcus Morris thing. If Marcus Morris gets traded, it's only for salary purposes.
I want it to happen for him so bad too.
Tobias?
so bad. I just want him to play have his Portland Carmelo Anthony year, where it's like, oh yeah, this guy is sick, and then it's like, no, I just only have seen 3 games. It's like I'm only gonna watch the 3 or 4 games, and that's it. I have no emotional investment.
I mean, the equivalent of Tobias to Carmelo is appropriate for Portland to Detroit. I feel like, based on the last 15 years of basketball played in both of those cities, I feel like that is an appropriate analog. But this is something that someone pointed out in the Discord to me, and I feel like they're kind of phasing Tobias out of the team. Like, everyone was mad in stream last night at Tobias, and I was like, guys, Tobias has touched the ball 5 times in this game. I'm mad at Tobias when he touches the ball more so than when he doesn't. I think they're just kind of in the last 10 games, Tobias has taken 10 shots 1 time, and it was exactly 10 shots. And every other game, it's been 7 shots. Took 3 shots last night, 8 shots, 9 shots. I think that they might have realized after that Boston game that it's going to be tough sledding for Tobias in any Boston series. And if you want to win the East, you have to get through Boston. And Nurse wasn't here for last year. He wasn't here for 2020 when Tobias struggled in the Celtics series. So the fact that he got to see it up close and personal, look at the stats. That was the last. I know that a lot of guys were out for that game, but that was the last game he had a high amount of shots in a game. So I wouldn't be shocked if Tobias actually is being phased out. But everything I've ever heard is that everyone likes Tobias. They're not going to trade him. Embiid likes him. Nurse likes him. Morey likes him. Whatever. But the more I watch the games, the more I'm just like, if you're not even going to give him shots, he's less than valuable to this team. He's actively harmful.
He feels like he's less important day to day than Nick Batum.
Yeah.
That's just which is crazy because Nick Batum makes what,
11 million,
$4.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, he makes 1 Hershey Sundae pie from Burger King.
Yeah.
By the way, just for something that works in the trade machine, Joe Harris, Alec Burks, Monty Morris to the Sixers, Tobias Furkan.
We are not bringing back any. We're not bringing back any
We're not bringing back any 1926er ever.
No. Bad vibe. Alec Burks, bad vibes from that season. Also, Joe Harris is fully washed. He's one of the worst players in the NBA now. And I'm also just over the idea of Monte Morris. I know he's not healthy this season, and I know he could be a good regular season player. I hate that archetype of player. Just they never can play in the playoffs. Denver traded him for a reason. The Grizzlies traded Tyus Jones for a reason. If you have real contracts and you have real picks and you are trading for a backup point guard in 2024, you've lost the plot. They never are on very good team. The idea of what those players has completely transformed. You need to be able to not only play with the ball, you need to be able to play without the ball. You need to be able to play on both sides of the ball. They're never going to be able to be played deep into the playoffs. So I'm over that. I'm basically open to any Tobias trade except for something like that. If you're making a trade like that, just attach picks and get good players back. There are going to be teams at this deadline that are going to be just looking to save money with this new CBA coming up. And you need to take advantage of that more so than just get back rotation play. The Sixers have plenty of rotation players.
You want the Sixers to get a multi-time All-Star, ideally. Maybe you want a guy who's made the Hall of Fame. Perhaps someone one Klay Thompson who works in Tobias Harris and Furkan Korkmaz.
I'm way more open to the idea of getting Klay Thompson than I am to get, and I don't want Klay Thompson.
I would do that.
But I would.
For Tobias,
imagine Klay Thompson on his fucking boat in the Delaware River. Imagine him crossing the Delaware in a pontoon boat every single day on his way to work. In the most filthy, polluted water the Northeast has to offer. Delicious. Thank you. Sign me up.
I do think Klay is Philadelphia coded though. He seems like the type of guy who would have been really into. You remember when that guy ate the chicken and everybody came to watch it? Klay would it seems like Klay would enjoy really Reddit shit like that. That happens in Philly. So I think it's a good match spiritually. So
I'm getting guided tours of all the canal systems from the 19th century.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Also, I don't think that the Warriors are going to end up trading Clay. We'll get into some of the Warriors guys at some point. I really have a hard time I think they're more likely to just let him walk in free agency if someone gives him a bag than they are to like trade a franchise icon, especially for like Tobias Harris. Like you're trying, like, I know that Clay is not the player he once was. You're also like not really like Tobias doesn't fit with the Warriors. I don't see that at all. I would be really surprised if they made a move like that. So, Chiodo, you're up third on the clock. Who will you be selecting in the players most likely to be traded before the deadline draft?
Zach LaVine. He just has to be traded.
Okay.
Like the Bulls just have to trade him for anything. Like you don't have to get anything back. Just dump him.
Did you see the article that was written by Shams that was like, Sam Amick, I mean, where he interviewed Rich Paul, and Rich Paul was like,
oh yeah, I saw that.
He'll go anywhere. He'll even go to Sacramento. Which I do just want to get this out of the way. We talk a lot about teams waiting on trading for star players. Oh, we're not going to trade for this star player because we want to trade for this star player. We're not going to trade for that guy. I saw people doing this with Sacramento yesterday. Sacramento doesn't get stars. Like, if Zach LaVine is interested in going there, I'm not saying they should pay a lot for him. But if he's interested in going there, I think that is significant for Sacramento. Like, I think the fact that a player who has made multiple all-star teams and wants to come play for your team, and you're not having to trade a Tyrese Halliburton level prospect to get him, then that is a positive. Like, that is a good thing, even if the Bulls seemingly are the greatest team of all time without Zach LaVine. But other than Sacramento, do you think there are any realistic teams? Because it doesn't sound like the Lakers are as interested as I thought they would be.
The Lakers will be interested when they keep not playing well.
Yeah,
they're going to get him for
good.
scraps at the trade deadline. It's going to be Rui and Gabe Vincent and some
Jared
other salary. Yeah, Jared Vanderbilt. And then the Lakers will be really good after the trade deadline yet again because other teams just give them stuff for free. The Bulls will then also be terrible because none of those guys are any good. So it would be that's the most Lakers trade of all time. He's going to be a Laker.
If you're the Bulls, would you prefer Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and Jared Vanderbilt, or would you prefer Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes? I would rather have Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes, but I know Huerter struggled this year, but he's the best player of all those players.
May I play a little devil's advocate with you? Because I think your logic is sound, but I think you're forgetting a really important note about including Harrison Barnes in that trade, which is that other than Greta Gerwig and Anthony Padilla from Smosh, he is the third most important Sacramento resident to ever exist.
That's true.
He is like the hero of that city. He's the only NBA player that's ever gone, I actually like Sacramento.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's been really bad
like
this
weird
year. Weird
Rusty Bridge is kind of cool.
I do just want to say, first off, there are like a surprising amount of famous people from Sacramento. We looked this up once. I'm pretty sure the band Papa Roach is from Sacramento. Mozzie, the rapper, is also from Sacramento. That they've got like a weird amount of famous people from. I don't know what's going on there. But
porn star Sasha Grey, former season ticket holder of
there you go,
Sacramento Kings. So.
MC Ride from Death Grips is from Sacramento.
Yep, there we go.
Is that real? I had no idea. Wow, very cool. Got the needle drop cosign. So I just want to say that
also Dan Quinn, probably the other most important,
future Eagles defensive coordinator Dan Quinn.
Let's go.
But the LeVar Burton, there are a lot of people from Sacramento. That's crazy. But back to the LaVine thing. LaVine will almost certainly be traded for the deadline for sure. Harrison Barnes, I saw a stat on him. This was before their last two games. But a Sacramento writer had a stat that said that Harrison Barnes scored 11% of his points this season in the first half of the first game of the season. He's apparently looked absolutely terrible this season. He's really had a tough go of it. And he just signed a contract extension. So that's not positive value, but also the Zach LaVine contract is something that not a lot of people want, despite Zach being a good player. And they probably have real concerns about his age and all of that. So I think Herter and Barnes would make sense. Honestly, like my whole thing with the Lakers is like every 2 weeks I go back and forth with the Lakers. Early in the season, I was like, this team stinks. Then they won the in-season tournament. I was like, I guess they're fine. And then now they've lost a bunch of games since the in-season tournament. And I was like, oh, they stink again. So I'm sticking with you, Rob. I do think that it is a chance that the Lakers could be in on this. But like, I personally, if I were Chicago, I'd rather take the flyer on Kevin Herter, who's been a good player. They're going to need shooting still. Also, and he's been a good player before.
The Bulls are so bad. Like, they'll probably like the Kings will throw in Davion Mitchell, and the Bulls will be like, that's a blue chip prospect.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Pair Davion Mitchell and Alex Caruso.
Sam called him a future star.
Look, the Bulls are bad, but when they're playing your team, you're like, these guys are fucking unstoppable.
I think
every time DeMar DeRozan touched the ball, I was like, oh fuck.
The Bulls are crazy. Like Caruso is so good, but if they're getting multiple first-round picks for him, like they're so stupid to not trade him. Like
that's what I've heard.
That's what I've been reported. Like that's crazy. Your team is like even without Levine, like they're actually not going to do anything.
Yeah,
and they're going to trade for like win now pieces, but like, I mean, Herter. I still like Herter. I don't know.
Herter's
he's been kind of bad this year.
I'm sorry, I don't care.
He's been good for years.
Yeah,
like he's a good player.
Yeah, he's good. Atlanta found that out the hard way. Like I'm sorry, like that's just movement shooting like of that caliber is important. Like even if he's like bad at other shit. I think honestly because Russillo was hitting the Donovan Mitchell shit with the Knicks a lot, like in the last Bill episode. I think I think Levine makes a lot more sense for the Knicks than like Mitchell does.
He doesn't want to play with the Knicks, and the Knicks don't want him.
All right, fair enough. What is that? Is that reported? I'm assuming you said that.
It was reported like the second that he asked out. And Zach has for some reason never wanted to play for. They tried to trade for him last year, and he didn't want to go there.
Spotlight is too bright. Light's brighter than expected.
I mean,
well, the RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier thing makes a lot of sense. Like,
it doesn't, because RJ Barrett is the worst player in the NBA. He stinks. He stinks. So I listened to that fucking Bill and Russillo podcast, and I felt like I was losing my fucking mind. They were like. At one point, Bill was like, look, I know we'd like to make fun of the Raptors because of the OG Anunoby thing. OG Anunoby is 100 times better than RJ Barrett at basketball. And they said, well, why don't you just trade RJ Barrett and a protected pick for OG Anunoby? And I'm like, why would the Raptors ever do that? RJ Barrett is a bad contract. He's not good. They're on the podcast saying he gets benched every fourth quarter because he stinks. Like, he had a hot shooting streak at the beginning of the year. He's come back down to earth, and he is at best, bench wing. Like, on a good team, RJ Barrett is not starting. And it drives me insane the way that people talk about RJ Barrett. So not you, Sam, not you. I'm just saying in general.
Hold on. Because I said some very similar things about one Cam Reddish, who I thought was bad. But turns out with a quick change of scenery, he looks awesome. Who was his teammate?
At Duke. And on the Knicks.
And on the Knicks,
RJ
that's right. It's RJ Barrett. So maybe they should go out and get him. No.
Cam Reddish, by the way. Cam Reddish, by the way.
People of Toronto.
Well,
get
he's
a
from
national
Canada.
Hero at the helm while they're ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. That's always good when you're the. I mean, that's a very Sixers fan Ash trade to do a reason. He grew up in Norristown, so we should trade for him.
Exactly. I mean, dude, if you're gonna start fucking like James Michael McAdoo, he might as well be from Philadelphia. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So
you're gonna look, make my eyes bleed like that. You know what I mean?
I know RJ Barrett, or I'm sorry, I know Cam Reddish has had a little bounce back with the deflections, and he's been good on defense for the Lakers. He is currently shooting 40% from the field on 31% from three. He's still not a good offensive player. And yes, for the minimum on a flyer, absolutely a good value, 100%. Still a playable guy. RJ Barrett makes $30 million a year almost. Like, he's not on a minimum contract. He's not on an MLE. Like, if a team is trading for him, they should get picks to take on his contract, and they should not send back a really good player. Like, look, do I think OG is overrated by the NBA podcast sphere? Yes. I still think that there's a world where he's like the fourth best player on a championship team. Like I think that there's a pretty clean fit on a lot of teams for him. So that's where I'm at. So anyway, continue. Let's go with Chiodo picked there, so we'll go with Parm for the next pick. Parm.
This is so hard.
I know there's a long list.
Let's talk narratives.
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Narratives.
I love this.
I saw a certain insurance salesman on your list who on the might get traded list, and I was absolutely floored. I have not seen any information about Chris Paul being dealt. If that man is not a Los Angeles Laker at the deadline, finally, the NBA needs to fold up shop. Like, we just need to end the whole league. We need to have the closure for the CP3 trade denial.
Yes.
He's the last living banana boat member to not be a teammate of LeBron James.
It's true.
And the Warriors stink. So, like, fuck it. They can get Gabe Vincent or whatever. They can get Maxwell Lewis. Who gives a shit? Steph's leaving. He's gonna go play for the Charlotte Hornets. That's how bad you are that he's thinking about playing for the Charlotte Hornets and Steve Clifford. Might as well.
Chris Paul
get Scottie Pippen Jr. or who the fuck is gonna take to get Chris Paul. Like,
Chris Paul is still better than D'Angelo Russell, right? I think he's still a better player than D'Angelo Russell.
Oh yeah,
Chris Paul can't move, dude. I watch the games and it's like I've said this before. His body is fully washed. His brain is not washed because he's such a smart basketball player that he can still make positive. Like, he can still get, like, he had an 11 assist game a few nights ago. He had an 8 assist game a few nights ago. Here are his last few games from the field. Okay, ready? 2 for 7, 1 for 4, 4 for 9, 5 for 8, 1 for 4, 1 for 2, 2 for 6. Like, he just can't create his own offense at all anymore. And he's never been a cog in a system before where he could just be programmed to shoot off the catch. And, like, it's just not like, he has to have the ball, and his shooting and scoring ability is just gone now. And I mean, sure, I don't want D'Angelo Russell on my team, but he can probably eat innings in the regular season and minutes a little bit better than this version of Chris Paul. But having said all this, I think that it's more likely that Paul gets traded for a real win now piece by the Warriors if they do decide to make trades in season. And then he gets bought out and he goes to, like, the Lakers or something. That's what I would say. Like, if the Lakers have to trade D'Angelo Russell and Gabe Vincent or one of those two for Zach LaVine or whatever, I could see them going after Chris Paul and just getting him on, like, and have him play like Sam Cassell on the Celtics in 08 or Gary Payton on the Heat in 06. Like, the very limited minutes backup point guard.
Yeah, like if he ends up on the Jazz, does a Russ thing.
No. Oh, yeah. Yes. If he gets bought out by that team, that's exactly. Like, if he got traded to the Raptors for if Pascal Siakam was traded for Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, and a first-round pick. I'm not saying that's, like, something that would happen, but if that happened, then they just bought out Chris Paul and then he went to the Lakers. I could see something like that. But I personally, I would be surprised if Chris Paul is still on the Warriors after the deadline, just because they're not going to trade any of their franchise icons, and he's the only salary big enough to improve the team. Who else on the team can they trade that has a big salary? It's like they're not trading Steph, Draymond, or Clay, and then you have just Chris Paul's big contract. That's what Wiggins. Yeah,
Wiggins. I think they trade Wiggins. I think they trade Wiggins.
Yeah.
They find a sucker. So? Some team, some Troy Weaver. I don't know.
It's every time it comes back to Troy Weaver.
I mean, Wiggins is like one of the great, like, fluke years ever. Like, he's been actually good, like, 1 year in his NBA career, and it was the year they won the championship. But, like, some team will be like, we think Andrew Wiggins would be good for our team. I feel like Wiggins might be more likely to get traded than CP. Like, I mean, the vibes with Wiggins also seem a little weird. Like, by all accounts, and, like, I know outside of Troy Weaver, as Parm says, like, nobody cares about, like, being nice or kind in the NBA. Like, everybody in the Warriors seems to really like Chris Paul. I feel like there's been, like, a lot of Wiggins frustration. Like, I think Lowe has said multiple times that, like, he kind of came in out of shape and the Warriors were, like, pissed about that. So, like, I feel like Wiggins might be more likely to get traded than Paul. Also, Paul's been, like, I mean, he can't shoot or score, but, like, he's he's like a big reason why their bench has been good. Though Brandon
Correct me if I'm wrong,
podcast
they're
is my
benching him
favorite.
too, right?
What about
Yeah, they've benched Wiggins.
what about SH's comment here? Wiggins and a pick for Gordon Hayward.
No, we're getting Gordon Hayward.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
I'll
Mike.
just say,
Clear that up.
well, I don't know. Gordon Hayward is a big culture fit with Palantir and
I was
some
gonna
of the other
say,
things going on in San Francisco.
He's
so.
such a Warriors guy. He would have like an Otto Porter like year where he comes in and all of a sudden he's like dropping 25 a game again. And
Yeah.
They would shoot him so full of like HGH and like whatever like nanotechnology they need to keep him like healthy, and he would invest in some sort of like video game company that it turns out is doing cryptocurrency, but like in the most racist way possible, and that would like come out like a few years later. So I think he's a perfect fit for San
As opposed
Francisco.
to the way that the Sixers do it, which is anti-racist cryptocurrency.
That's right.
Yeah.
Joel
They have-
tweeted crypto again today.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's anti-racist.
Oh, I thought we were over it.
Yeah, it's it's all about building equity for yourself and your community and financial literacy. Google it.
Yeah.
So
I saw the Spike Lee Super Bowl commercial.
no, Steph Curry actually convinced me to put my entire savings into FTX. So it's going well. I haven't checked the news recently, but I think it's going well. Sam.
So the exercise is most likely to be traded, right?
Most likely to be traded, but also someone that you want to talk about. like
PJ Tucker is going to get traded, but nobody
Yes.
wants to talk about PJ Tucker.
Exactly.
Okay. So we need good players who have a lot of glitz and glamour, who are a lot of fun to talk about. Let's talk about Kelly Olynyk, who is definitely getting traded this trade deadline, and I am so ready for it because I unironically think he is going to be the most important piece traded to the NBA title conversation. I'm dropping a bit here for a second. I think Kelly Olynyk is going to be really helpful for some team, and I'm going to be pissed whoever that team is.
Every player who Sam has ever liked has either been good on the Celtics or was good against the Celtics.
That's right.
Kelly Olynyk is good. I would agree.
I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's going to shift the title.
I think he will.
might.
I genuinely think he will. Like there are so many teams that need bigs. There's so many teams in the West that are small. It's like just the Wolves and the Nuggets.
He's
who
such a
don't have
Lakers fit.
That's
Also-
what I'm saying. Yeah, he's going to end up on a good team unless, I don't know, Troy Weaver jumps in and gives up a first round pick to bring him back or fucking something. But like he's going to go to some team and he's going to be really fucking important to their rotation pieces. He genuinely like is a real stretch big who can attack off the bounce and is a better defender than you think. Like, and I think that is like people talk a lot about Daniel Tice and like what Daniel Tice could do. Like Kelly Olynyk is twice as good as Daniel Tice. I watched both of them. Like he is going to be very important. He's an expiring contract. Danny Ainge is going to trade him, and I think that he's going to be really important for one of these probably West teams that needs size and shooting.
What team? Dallas?
Dallas would be a great fit.
Lakers.
Lakers
You
would be a
could play
great
him
fit.
next to
The
AD.
Lakers can't trade for everyone.
I mean, they're going to make a trade.
Yeah.
But I mean, how Olynyk's only making what, like $14 million a year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he only makes
$13 million.
that's why Dallas came to mind because you could just trade Rashawn Holmes and I don't know, Jaden
Seconds.
Hardy and some seconds or something. I don't think
Yeah.
they would trade Jaden Hardy for him, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head here who could match that salary easily.
I mean, like I feel like the Cavs could trade like some of their guys, like a Coro and like somebody else, or like Rubio. You could trade like a Coro and Rubio pretty easily, and then you've got someone who can play with both of your centers, and I think that immediately makes them more viable in the playoffs. Like, I know nobody's into this right now, but I
am.
Yeah,
No,
I'm hearing
Yeah.
you loud and clear. You're saying that the three best players in the league are 7-footers. What is
Yes.
Kelly Olynyk's best skill? Undercutting someone so they blow out their ACL.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Fucking problem
Yes.
solved, baby.
Correct.
Only that's $10 million well spent.
Yes.
See you, Giannis. See you next year.
How did the Warriors win their first title? How did the Warriors win their first title? No Kevin Love, baby. That's right. Why was there no Kevin Love? Kelly Olynyk yanked his arm out of his socket. So
Speaking of Kevin Love, currently has a plus 2.5 EPM on the
sickening.
Miami Heat. It's
disgusting.
it's insane.
I tried to say last year we needed him, and everyone called me crazy.
I did not call
He
you
would be
crazy.
terrible
I
on the
did not call
Sixers,
you
though.
crazy. Of course he would be terrible.
The
on this
Kevin Love thing was rough when we were all like, the fuck are you going to? This guy just wants to live in Miami. He just wants to live in Miami. And then they're in the conference finals, and I remember they asked Kevin Love, "Why'd you choose here?" I was like, I knew.
He's like, there was no decision. Basically,
We're just never gonna.
I mean, Olynyk would be great on the Heat. Actually, that would be
He
just
was
funny.
good on the Heat.
He was. Yeah, I was gonna say he played for them a few years ago.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring this, so I like that everyone's wondering where this 7-foot tall white guy who shoots threes is gonna end up. That's on the Jazz. Kelly Olynyk.
That's right.
Not Lowry Markkanen.
I don't think Markkanen gets traded.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I had him on the list, but I don't think that he gets traded at this deadline because the reports that have come out since the like Jake Fisher piece from all the Jazz people, from some national people, are basically like, yeah, if you want to give us a Rudy Gobert package for Lowry Markkanen, sure. But then he's also in the Athletic, like doing an interview with Sam Amick, like, please don't trade for me. I like it here. And like that never happens in Utah. Like it's like Jordan Clarkson and him who they extended and now they're trying to trade Jordan Clarkson. Those are like the only players I can think of in the history. But I do agree with SH's comment here that if I were the Thunder, fuck it. Who cares? You have 18 first-round picks. What is 4 first-round picks and 2 swaps for fucking Lowry Markkanen when you can win the title this year?
They're the new small bean drafting team though. Like
we'll see. They have chance to beat the accusations though, because this is the first year that they've actually had a chance to win the title. The Grizzlies waited 2 years to even make a move, and then they immediately imploded.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think, and I don't know. I'm skeptical the Thunder are as close as you think. I have to see a team win like 1 to 2 playoff series before I declare them like in the.
Shea is so good.
Beat Denver and Denver the other night.
I don't
Denver and Denver.
Who cares? Everyone beat Denver last March. Like
not in Denver. Denver has lost 2 home games all year. Still.
I think they're fine, but like I don't want. But I think that they are going to get bounced in the second or third round. I do not think that they're a realistic threat to win the conference. The Wolves.
Chet had 9 blocks. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Thunder
Like,
are a tough matchup, though. Like I agree with you. Like in principle, like they're unlikely to win the championship, but like they're a tough matchup for Denver. They're a horrible matchup for the Clippers, who are playing really well. The Wolves, I think, are a tough matchup for them, but like the Thunder are really interesting. I mean, they're kind of like, would they trade for Levine? I don't know, like as like a super version of like Isaiah Joe. Like they probably wouldn't, but like they should be going in for it though. You like never know with these teams, like if you're gonna be like have this confluence of whatever.
Yeah, you could end up like the Boston Celtics. No one would ever want that.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
No, I do just want to say here, and I'm not saying, look, Denver, of course, won the title. Sure, Jokic doesn't give a fuck until about this time of year. Awesome. They're still really good when everyone's healthy. Absolutely. If you think Denver is unbeatable, you're wrong. They are not an unbeatable team. Their bench is literally terrible. They have one of the worst benches in the NBA. Last year, even the 2 best players on their bench last year. Now, Bruce Brown isn't having a good year this year. He was fantastic for them last year. Jeff Green wasn't great, but he was at least playable. Like I watched some of their games, especially the games when they have like a single injury, and their depth is real bad. And also, it all comes down to whether you think that Jamal Murray is going to be a superstar every playoffs to me. Because in the regular season, we have a large sample of saying that the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray, without Jokic on the court, are a not good team. And in the playoffs last year, they were great in those minutes without Jokic. And a large part of that is Jamal being a legit superstar in the playoffs. And if he does that every year, sure, I'm owned, I'm wrong. there's never been a player in NBA history who's like not an all-star in the regular season and a surefire like top 12 player in the playoffs. So if that is repeatable and it happens every year, I'm fine to be owned, but I don't think you can bank on that being 100% guarantee every single year, especially in a year where your bench is just much thinner. I like some of their young guys off the bench. I like Christian Brown. I was very high on Julian Strawther in the draft. But like, I'm just not quite there as far as like just crowning them already. This is not the KD Steph Warriors. It's not like those days are over. There has not been a repeat champion since then for a reason. The NBA is too good. The best advantage they have is they have the best player in the conference, and they will absolutely be potentially going to the finals if everything clicks right for them. But I just do not think that it's a guarantee. Like, I think it's kind of insane the way that people talk about Denver, to be completely honest. And I liked Denver's chances last year too, way more than a lot of people did. So anyway,
I think the Wolves are the thing for Denver. I think that they're a pretty good matchup for any other team in the conference. And that's my concern.
yes,
So
exactly. Yeah.
So
Okay. So we're back to me. We have selected so far DeJounte Murray, Chris Paul, Zach LaVine. I can't even remember who else we selected. Keldon Johnson. So I'm now looking, and I'm just looking for someone that I think will be interesting to potentially talk about here that could be traded at this deadline. Let's go with, we already talked about Gordon Hayward, Tobias Harris a little bit. I'm going to go, this is not a super interesting player, but what do we think about DeMar DeRozan? Because DeMar is someone who is rumored to be available, but also is an expiring contract at age 34. He had a great game against the Sixers. He's been much better since Zach LaVine went out of the lineup, and he's been sneaky, had like a really good stocks season. Kevin pointed out on the stream last night, like he's getting a lot of steals and blocks. His defense doesn't seem to be quite as bad as it used to be because he's scaled up a few positions, and he's a big, strong, athletic guy, so he can kind of survive more against 3s and 4s than he did earlier in his career. So is there any team... It's just going to be the Lakers again, isn't it? It's just going to be, Lakers would probably be interested. Yeah. But the report yesterday that came out was that the Lakers would want Austin Reeves in any trade for, the Bulls would want Austin Reeves if they're trading DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. But like, I just don't see either side coming to an agreement on that. Is there any team we can think of that DeMar DeRozan would fit on that could help for this season if he can't come to a contract extension with the Bulls? Because it doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
I mean, the Nets.
Yeah.
The Nets.
That's an interesting one.
I think he would really help the Nets. And I think if you could figure out what the sweetener would be to get the Bulls to take an extra season of Ben Simmons.
Do you even need to do that? Don't they have Spencer Dinwiddie's contract that's very similar?
They have Spencer Dinwiddie, but then you've got to add another $10 million, and then you're like, you've got to trade up someone who's like kind of valuable. You know what I'm saying? At that point, like Royce O'Neal,
it's expiring.
He's expiring. You know what I'm saying? But like I was gonna say, I guess you could do Spencer Dinwiddie and Royce O'Neal. You thin out your minutes a little bit. Like I guess they've got like Trendon Watford and like Lonnie Walker are playing fine, so it's not the end of the world to like thin yourself out like that. Yeah, Dennis Smith. Like they have guys who like eat minutes anyway, so it wouldn't be that bad. But I think it'd have to be a team like that. I want the Nets
on the Heat.
Yeah,
so bad.
You want DeMar on the Heat
so bad. I want Kyle and DeMar back to like get shit on in the playoffs and just be an embarrassment. But they're doing it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just like back in the saddle.
That would be
that would do it for me, or him going back to Toronto would also do it.
But they wouldn't. The problem is they wouldn't trade Tyler Hero for DeMar DeRozan, and that would have to be the contract that matches.
You can't do it for donkeys.
No, it would have to be like
he makes like what 20, and then like you just have to
makes like
scrounge
17.
10.
Yeah, that's the problem is they don't have a lot of medium-sized contracts. It's all like massive contracts and then rookie deals, and veterans minimums.
I'm trying to figure out a path here. So
I think they'd rather have Duncan Robinson than DeMar DeRozan.
I also think that.
Yeah, I just think the Jimmy DeMar crossover is just too redundant on that team. And also, you might get a random series where Duncan Robinson taps into the heart of Satan and shoots 80% from three, like he did against the Bucks. Like DeMar, I actually think DeMar has become a little bit underrated because of all of the playoff failures and because he's DeMar. But I kind of think that at this age, it would be hard to give up any real rotation players for him. The reason why I thought that the Spencer Dinwiddie, Royce O'Neal thing might make a little bit of sense is because I do think the Nets really just desperately need a kind of guy like DeMar.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, they'll probably just wait for Mitchell. They'll probably just wait for Donovan Mitchell.
I love Parm's idea just because I think there is a huge unstoppable force, immovable object thing could expose Demon Magic in the playoffs versus the Lowry DeMar shitting the bed in the playoffs. Like which of those forces would win? Those are two ancient eldritch magics going head to head. So
I want to see like the Jimmy practice where he calls Rachel Nichols too, but it's like guys his own age instead of children. He's like doing, I can't win with these cats, but these cats are like 3 years older than him.
It's Kyle Lowry, and he's like, "What the fuck, man?
I won a championship.
I've won more championships than you. What are you talking about?" Bam! He's just shitting on Bam.
Unbelievable. So yeah, I would be very surprised if DeMar ended up with Miami. The problem always comes back to there are never enough contracts to match on these really good guys that make like $20 to $40 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it. But if I had to rank the guys that I would trade Tobias for on the Sixers that are on the Bulls, DeMar would be last. It would go Caruso 1, Levine 2, DeMar 3, but I do think that it is a little bit tempting just because we desperately need someone who can close games. I'll say that much. I don't think they would do it just because they're just going to value Tobias too much, which is a mistake. But I think that if there really is no opportunity to get a legit star level ball handler or a guy that complements Maxey and Embiid so perfectly at this deadline, that taking half a season of DeMar DeRozan isn't the worst thing in the world. I'll leave it at that.
I have something late breaking. Just a half hour ago, the most important piece of NBA journalism in NBA history just dropped. This is Frost Nixon for the NBA. Tim Bontemps. I sat down with the NBA's MVP, Joel Embiid, ahead of Philly, Miami on Christmas. We'll have parts of the interview all week.
Oh, no.
I cannot wait. So
they're just releasing parts during the week, like in parts?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, you've got something like this of this magnitude. You've got to. It's kind of like the Jinx. How you didn't want to slow burn. Like you didn't want Robert Durst just admitting that he murdered people at the beginning. You have to tease it out over parts. So yeah.
It will be exactly like the Jinx. The last episode, Joel forgets that he has his mic on, and he goes into the bathroom, and he's like, "Yeah, I fake those injuries in the playoffs.
Fake them all, of course. Yeah.
I was dodging smoke.
Joel's on the bench. Get Joel off the bench." Honestly,
spoilers for anyone who watched who has not watched the Jinx.
If you haven't watched this 12-year-old show,
sorry. Exactly.
Sorry,
you had your chance.
Yeah. Sorry.
It is really great though. You should watch it if you have.
2013 was bumping, man. It was awesome.
I'm old as dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rob, I know you have to get out of here. Is there one last pick you want to make before you get out? You could do PJ Tucker if you want, because we haven't talked about the Clippers at all.
I mean, I don't know if the Clippers are going to make a move. I mean, they are probably going to trade PJ Tucker, but I mean, it's just going to be some sort of little dump thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they honestly might come to like a buyout if they can't trade him, just so we can get somewhere where he might play a little bit more. I think that's also a possibility. Sure. Markelle Fultz is interesting. I think the Magic should do something. What they decide to do, I have no idea. Could they get in on Donovan Mitchell? I don't know. Like, would Donovan Mitchell play for Orlando? Like, they're in Florida, but like they're the Magic, but like Paolo is cool. I don't know like how you'd get there. Like, would Fultz and like Anthony and like a ton of picks be enough for the Cavs? Fultz is interesting though. I think the Mavs are going to do something. I hope they do something. They haven't made like a big trade in like years. Since the Vooch trade, and like they're like, I mean, they're not like the Thunder at like that level, but like they could win like a playoff series if they made a win now move, and like I feel like they should. Fultz seems like a guy who they should probably trade, but
the person that Vagberg has wanted and has been floated out on Magic Twitter recently is, I think, too good now for his team to trade him, and it's someone that we've said has been a star hiding in plain sight potentially, and that's Anthony Simons, who the Blazers kind of want to be competitive while they develop their young guys. And I'm going to be honest, I know, look, I'm not giving up on Scoot yet. He had a rough start, a rough go of it to start his career. A lot of guys have. I went back and I looked at Darius Garland, De'Aaron Fox, all those guys. But I would be not in any rush to trade any of my young guys if I were Portland until I know Scoot is that dude. Because if you trade Simons and honestly, Scoot's been better off the ball than he was on the ball to start. So it's not like you're just like, getting a bunch more on-ball opportunities for a guy who's going to be great on the ball to develop. I would be hesitant to trade Simons or Sharp or any of their young guys until I know that Scoot is that dude. And right now, based on what I've seen, he's been better recently. I think that he's looked way more explosive off the ball than he has on the ball. And I still think that he has a ways to go before he's like a real NBA player. And I think that Simons could be helpful for his development to get him there. So I would rather just keep Anthony Simons unless I get blown away with an offer where it's like undeniable. But like, I think Maxey is better than Anthony Simons, but I also think that like, if you look at their stats, put him in the context where his defense isn't as much of a problem, he could be like a Maxey light type dude on a good team, I think.
What about Fultz for Brogdon? I mean,
I had the same thought. He was the other guy because I think Brogdon is probably going to want to get traded. Brogdon was on my list. Yeah. I think he'll probably be the only vet on that team. Like, from everything I've heard, Jeremy Grant likes Portland. He doesn't want to get traded, and they want to have good players while they don't want to be Detroit, basically.
Blazers beat guys have been shooting down Jeremy Grant trades for like weeks.
I talked to Hyken about this, and he was like, he told me like a month ago it's not happening. And Hyken is pretty plugged in. Like, he wouldn't just exaggerate anything for just for the sake of it. So I'm fairly certain they're going to, and I don't mind them waiting to trade Jeremy Grant until the offseason. If I'm a Blazers fan, like, I still want players on my team that are decent, and like, they're still going to be one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in the NBA. So that is kind of what it comes down to for me. But yeah. So Rob, you didn't make your pick, but I guess Fultz can technically be that pick. So.
Yeah, I mean, Fultz, I don't know, like, what he's another guy, like, Keldon, like, those are guys who, like, I don't even know if they're getting traded. They're guys to me, I'm very curious, like, what their market is. Like,
I don't think Fultz has got a market. I don't think Fultz is any good, to be honest. Like, I don't think he's like a actively bad NBA player, but like, what team is like, I really need a point guard who can't shoot and can't defend on the ball? Is there any team in the NBA that is dying to have Markelle Fultz skill set?
I mean, I think as a sixth man, he's fine.
Sure.
Like, you give him the ball and like let him. I mean, he'd be really overpaid for that role. Yeah. But like,
but he's also expiring. You could get a new contract in the offseason.
I mean, I would kind of like him on the Nets as well. They could use another like ball handler, creator type. They do have a ton of shooting. I don't know like what salaries they'd send out for like Fultz, but
I think I'd rather have Dinwiddie, and he'd have to be the salary.
I mean, Fultz is a lot younger though. Like, I guess like the Nets are like in a weird space where like they're not rebuilding. But like, if I were them, like, I would try to be getting like a little bit younger. I mean, Dinwiddie's probably like 30. Fultz is like 25. So I think the Magic should just do something, and Fultz seems like the most likely guy to trade. But I also don't know who would actively trade for Markelle Fultz.
How about just Fultz for D'Angelo Russell, straight up? The Lakers.
I don't think the Magic would do it.
Well, the Lakers are giving up something like
They'll
Fino or something like that.
I think the Magic would just be like, we're good.
Okay.
Taking on a year of D'Angelo Russell when you're trying to like make your team better and like build a culture and like it doesn't really like D'Angelo is a fine player, but I don't really think that he's someone that you want to take away on ball opportunities for your young guys. Like I think if I'm taking the ball out of,
he's not playing. They're good. He doesn't need to play. This isn't the Lakers. Yeah, he's not playing for the Magic.
So they're just going to pay him $17 million a year to not play basketball?
He's a trade. No, you roll him over to next year. He's your salary for next year. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't.
I'm skeptical the Magic are going to be these free agent like players.
They're not.
I agree.
Yeah.
They're not. But at this deadline, they might acquire a guy that they can extend this summer. Like maybe if they're interested in going there.
I just think like swapping Fultz for like a placeholder salary that rolls over an extra year, and then you get something because they're going to have to make. They are on a little bit of a clock with like Franz is due for an extension in 2 years, I think, or something like that. So like, there's going to be something that they're going to need to do, but I don't.
They just really need shooting. I know I say it every time, but what?
Sorry, more slop. Colorado Supreme Court has ruled that Trump cannot appear on the state's ballot in 2024. So
what?
Trump is done in Colorado. Trump can't win Colorado.
He's never going to win Colorado anyway. Although he might go Reagan 84 at this point with the way that Biden's going.
Can't he just tell people to write it in, and they make commercials about how you have to write in?
Yeah,
it's gonna be Donald J. President.
I'm so excited.
Michael Porter Jr. is devastated. Someone
this is what ends the Denver Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. is not going to be able to focus at all. Michael Porter Jr., Andrew Wiggins are coming in. It's happening.
Let's go. Jeez. The liberal fascists in Colorado. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Lauren Boebert, your liberal ass has gone too far this time.
Okay. So who was up next? We had Robko last.
I think it was me.
Yeah.
Chiodo, who would you like to select?
I'll go with my goat. Needs to be a Sixer.
Okay.
Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzma.
Yes, sir.
Sneaky good contract, Kyle Kuzma, folks.
Yep,
by the way.
That's what I said.
By the way, do you know what Kyle Kuzma is currently shooting on unguarded catch and shoot threes this season? His effective field goal percentage on those shots this year was absolutely fucking insane. Maxey was 1 on this stat. Bane was 2 in this stat. Kuzma was in the top 10. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay. Kuzma was 3rd in unguarded effective field goal percentage. Qualified, yeah. So it's like it's like 40
is it
shots
qualified?
40 shots or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I looked at that and I didn't see the word qualified, and I was like, how many open shots is Kyle Kuzma getting on the Washington Wizards? 4? Like
46.
the whole season? He's like the only guy who's an NBA player that they have.
He shot almost as many as Maxey. He shot in more than Desmond Bane.
Why are you leaving him open? He's the only guy on the team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I think historically he's not been a great shooter.
He has not been, but this year he is shooting 83.7% on unguarded catch and shoots, effective field goal percentage wise, on 46 attempts. Like, I mean, look, now that is probably an outlier, and teams will still bait him into shooting. Having said that, he's having a really nice stat season, and also the most hilarious season that we've probably ever seen from a duo with him and Jordan Poole right now in Washington. Do you think he can recover from the loser brain that he's acquired?
No, he's a winner.
Okay.
He's a winner though.
Okay.
Kyle Kuzma is he's a winner.
What's the trade though? Would the like a first and Morris?
I was gonna say you could go either way. You could either do
Tobias
the
Harris
Morris.
Gonna love the museums, folks.
I was gonna say I think Tobias is more likely to be traded in a Kuzma trade. You would then need to figure out the salary that makes up the rest of. So like Kuzma plus DeLon Wright for Tobias Harris and a first round pick and seconds or whatever. I don't know what the trade looks like personally, but it would be something along those lines. And I'll be honest, I kind of think that is a move that I think Kuzma kind of goes back and forth between being overrated and underrated. But I think he's just a better player than Tobias Harris now.
He always has been. Guy's a champion.
He was the 7th man on the championship team.
It doesn't matter.
Played like 15 minutes a game.
Okay.
I feel like I don't.
Everyone loved Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
Would Kuzma and Nick Nurse feel like an odd combination?
It does.
I will say that much.
I thought the same thing about Kelly Oubre, and he's
That
like
is
the
true.
greatest player I've ever seen under Nick Nurse.
Kelly Oubre and Kyle Kuzma would have like the
The vibes.
greatest bromance of all time.
Yeah, we got. I didn't even think about that. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Former Wizards together in Philadelphia contending for championships. I'll say this much. If you're going to say, Tobias, you can only take 8 shots a game, there's literally zero purpose for Tobias Harris to be on the Philadelphia 76ers. And you might as well get someone who's a better defender, a better rebounder, and someone who at minimum will take more open threes, even if he doesn't make all of them. And someone who honestly, I think has become a similar level scorer to Tobias Harris. Like, I think he's
a
been
better scorer.
They're around the same level of scoring.
I don't know. Tobias will get when Tobias is a Wizard at the deadline. We'll see how many points
Okay.
Tobias scores in Washington.
True. Tobias has never averaged 23 a game.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
I would bet in Washington he will average the same amount he averaged here.
I don't think he's ever been on a team where they won 4 games over a quarter way through the season, but
So it's decreasing because my only issue is what does this do to Daryl Morey's cap space plan, and will the Demon Daryl punt? Because
he's
the
not.
Laurie
He's
Markkanen-
over
Honestly,
it. He's
Daryl-
over it.
Daryl
Okay.
has like publicly admitted the cap space
He
plan. Like,
it was fake.
yeah.
He basically has said this in public. He's basically said, if there are players that we think can fit on the team and have big contracts, we're not going to care about the cap space plan because we know how good Maxey and
I mean,
Embiid
look
are
at
this
look
season.
at like who's the cap space plan? Who would it be for?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like players on our list that are like, I do not want to pay OG Anunoby $40 million a year. I'm sorry, I don't. That's what it would take to get him away from Toronto. Masai would pay $35 million a year to keep his precious boy.
Well, you've got to do that. I mean, the Raptors are so good right now. You can't just let a cornerstone of that team walk away. Come on.
Marty Teller, yeah, exactly. Marty Teller pointed this out. It was very funny. He said, "How did we get ourselves into this mess as the Sixers? 5 years ago, we traded a bunch of assets for a 3-4 and gave him $40 million a year in Tobias Harris. OG Anunoby is a better player than Tobias Harris, but I think it would be a massive mistake to put everything you have into acquiring OG Anunoby. If you can get him for a reasonable contract or he wants to come here and Masai isn't being a psycho, that's a different conversation. As a facsimile to OG Anunoby, acquiring a Dorian Finney-Smith or Kyle Kuzma or someone along those lines might be the better move because they're just going to make less money. And also they're like, Kyle Kuzma is kind of, he's a little bit off the wall, but he is a good offensive player. Like at worst, he's a neutral offensive player. And I think that he is kind of fits the description of players that they've been describing, which is they want guys who can play on both ends of the court. And I think that Kuzma, when he's locked in, has the size and athleticism to be a plus defender and rebounder and do all the things that they want from their role players.
Kuzma would not let them lose game 6 and 7 last year. He would not have let them lose.
True.
I'm sorry. Is this a
True.
real comment? Someone said, am I worried about my Cade take aging poorly?
You should be. You should be.
I'm sleeping like a baby.
The Pistons have lost 24 games in a row.
Listen.
We're sleeping like a baby.
When they win the next 40 games in a row.
I mean, the
you're
key
gonna
thing
be
is
so sad.
the key thing's a victory for you. It's just the fourth quarter. We're determining how big of a victory.
No, he's been better recently. Don't get me wrong. Also, he's been better in certain games recently, I should say. The Atlanta Hawks defense is very quickly becoming like the Pacers, where it's just
Nothing
not
is as bad as the Pacers. Nothing is as bad. The Clippers put up like 150 points. And
I know.
They were playing their scrubs for the last 7 minutes. It was so bad.
It is bad. But hold on. Also, I do just want to point out that the Pacers are in their own league. That's fair. But since Jalen Johnson has gone out, the second worst defense in the NBA is 100% the the Atlanta Hawks. They are dreadful. Right now, they are the only teams worse than them are Utah, Detroit, Charlotte, Washington, and Indiana. I would guarantee you if you just did the last 3 weeks since Jalen Johnson went out, they would be second in defense too.
What's funny is Troy Weaver was right to trade Sadiq Bey and not pay him, but then he traded him for James Wiseman. Like,
it's amazing.
just do it for the 5 second-round picks. I would have done that, just like straight up. And it's like, I don't think Sadiq Bey is good at all, but I had to go get James Wiseman.
But he is a wing
who shoots threes.
He's a wing who shoots threes, and someone pointed this out because we were talking about this the other day. Someone pointed this out, but the fact that Detroit isn't winning games this year is largely due to the fact that they have no shooting. And you would randomly have a 8-3 game from Sadiq Bey or from one of these shooters. And because you've removed him from there, they're not able to steal games like they've been able to in the past. They have no variance. It's like the guy who shoots the most on their team is now Bojan, and he's really the only plus shooter. Like Alec Burks has been shooting like terrible recently. They have no other plus shooters on that team. And also, I do just want to kind of going back to put a bow on this whole Cade thing. I've been higher on Cade than Sam. I've been higher on Cade than a lot of people. Since it was funny. Someone said it's like everyone being out on a player makes me want to be like, are we sure it's Chiodo's whole guard cycle thing?
Yeah,
where you talk about this player's these, but it's just for draft busts, quote unquote, like guys that we perceive as bad NBA players. And just be like, maybe they're not that, like, we've gone too far in the other direction. I don't think we're even quite there with Cade because I think a lot of people still think Cade's really good.
I still see a ton of like Cade deserves better stuff.
Superstar, he's being used wrong, and that's what I absolutely flatly reject.
That's why I'm staying on this, because we haven't come down the other side. Yes. Like that's what's driving me insane. Is like it feels like we should be talking about Cade more like, is he a bust? And we don't even hear that. It's like, how are the Pistons failing Cade Cunningham? And it's like, that's not the case. The Pistons are failing Asar Thompson. I'm sorry. This is not a Cade Cunningham like exclusive issue. Like he could still be fine. Like we've been very consistent in saying like, he might make an all-star team someday. And that's
I'm not even there anymore.
Really? You don't think he's going to make an all-star team?
No. I think if he is an elite, becomes
like a third.
If he's an elite shooter, I'm willing to revisit this conversation.
There's no one that made multiple all-star teams. I feel like Cade could be as good as Chris Middleton.
Okay, here's where the Chris Middleton thing, where I differentiate on that. Chris Middleton at one point was a very good defender. I don't think he is anymore. I think that he was an underrated defender at his peak, and I also think that he was an insane tough shot maker because he couldn't create the separation. He had to hit a ton of tough shots in big games. Well, that's the thing, is that Cade can't create separation because of his lack of athleticism. So if he gets to the point where he's an elite shooter and elite tough shot maker, I'm willing to revisit this conversation. Until then, I'm not moved until the Pistons win a single game. And it's not all his fault. That team stinks. Troy Weaver's a nightmare. He should be in prison for this team. But it is still an exhausting conversation.
To the point quickly in the chat before I head out, there's a couple times it's been posted that like Justin Russo mentioned like Clippers and Bojan. I don't know what they trade for him because the Pistons really value him. The Clippers have like their 2031st, like they're not trading that for Bojan. I don't even know how they get to like the salaries unless they're trading Norm Powell, in which case like I don't really get that. PJ is not enough salary wise. It would have to be PJ like and Bones and other stuff, and then like that's not enough for the Pistons. I don't think that.
It is Troy Weaver. We never know, but still, like I would
not bet on that.
Pistons do need some veteran leadership.
PJ Tucker.
Hey, he played.
PJ Tucker might choke out Troy Weaver. Got traded to the Pistons.
All right, Rob. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, bud.
Later.
Have a good one. The Clippers are back, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this, but James Harden is I'm Charlie Brown, and James Harden is Lucy with the football once again, killing it in December.
You can't fall for it. Like I don't understand how people are still falling. For
It's
like if this Embiid that it's 2027, we still haven't got out of the second round, and we're still in December. Like look at Embiid, man. He added another element to his game.
It's like it doesn't matter. Yes.
He's soy jacking. He's
Like
literally doing.
I love the Harden stance, but like, come on, guys. They're like dunking on everybody. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Parm's back though. Parm's back in on James.
I was never out on big game James. I was never out on big game James.
Let's
I'm
go.
like
I love him
neutral
so
on him.
much. I do. That really like is that I gotta say like that. It's close. It's not the Kawhi shot, but like the when my heart never sank lower. Otherwise, is James Harden getting traded away? Like I was.
You didn't think they were going to trade him?
Until the moment I saw the tweet, I thought we were keeping him the whole season, and he was going to show up, and we were going to prove the haters wrong, and he was going to win his NBA Finals. I was all the way in. I love him so much.
When the videos from training camp when Harden was like, I was like, oh god, he's locked in. I was like completely out on everybody. Everybody, and then I saw one video of Harden at training. Oh, he's locked in.
Like
in shape Harden.
It was the Bush 9/11 whisper. Harden is locked in, sir.
I also didn't believe a single one of the detractors. Like he was going to be a distraction. Like he just thinks Daryl is annoying.
Yeah, no,
no one on the team.
Understandable.
No one on the team. Like he can.
Same thing. Same thing as Brooklyn too. Like all of his teammates still were like, we love James Harden. Like after he left, like none of his teammates had.
I also
really
just see the comment that says it's a win for everyone. It is December. We'll check back in May when there's a real chance it's a loss for everyone, considering the two franchises involved here.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. The Sixers and the Clippers.
Most likely scenario is it's a loss for everyone.
Considering the historical context here, all things are great in December.
Like
for
the
Sixers.
I think the Sixers are different this year. So
How
I realize
different?
this is ironic coming
How
from.
different?
I realize it's ironic coming from me saying they're different for the third straight year, but like
I didn't say they were different 2 years ago.
2 years. I just said they were different because they had Harden.
Yeah.
I
was excited.
I just thought Harden was a game changer in the way that like Simmons was anyway.
Yeah, sure.
But last year I said they were different all year. Now I'm saying they're different.
Last year I did. I fell for it last year, and I'm falling for it again this year.
But I like really think they're different.
What I do just want to say, like when Celtics fans quote tweet me,
Celtics fans are so annoying, guys. Like they know we can't say anything back. Like
I know.
Pick on someone. Like pick on Nuggets fans.
Exactly.
Like,
It's gotten to the point where it's like you beat us every year in the playoffs. You're better in the regular season now than us. You have a better record every single year. And I tweet, wow, the Sixers have this like great point differential in these games or whatever. All the quote tweets. Why are we talking about the Sixers? It's like, first off, I'm a Sixers fan. I'm going to tweet about the Sixers. And three, like you already like it's over, dude. Like you've won until we beat you in a playoff series.
I think the Celtics thing comes from, no offense, Sam. I think Celtics fans are very insecure about the fact that they have not won a title yet.
Yes,
with all the things.
And that's objectively true. But I think a lot
of them won't admit it. I think they're very insecure about it, and they're very insecure about like Tatum because they want Tatum to be in that like Giannis, Embiid, Jokic tier. They want it so bad, and they know deep down he's not. So they're insecure about that, and I think they know they don't want to talk to like Heat fans and the Heat fans, so they pick on us because they know we can't say anything back.
Yeah, exactly.
They take it all out on us.
Yeah, because I was going to say the Bucks have beat them in a series. The Heat have beat them in a series.
I exclusively talk shit to the Heat fans and hate them with a passion. I don't understand talking shit to Sixers fans. Like, you've got to go after the Heat fans.
We don't even talk shit about the Celtics anymore. Like,
yeah,
we get it.
I'll tell you what it is. It's we're locked in the house with the other demons, which are the other Boston sports fans who are fucking worse, or who are the absolute worst. Patriots fans deserve all of this. This has been the greatest season of my life for football season. I have been loving every second of this. Patriots fans in hell is just amazing today.
Wait, the Bucks never beat the Celtics with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Did I forget the 2018-2019 season?
Yeah, I was gonna say that they did lose.
They win.
Kyrie Irving got blamed, and he probably
also, very young in their careers, and the Celtics were broken, but they did win. They beat them, and they've only played 2 series.
They beat them
really
convincingly. They beat them very convincingly.
Exactly.
It was like 5 games. Yeah.
Yeah, that 22 series, like Middleton was out the whole series, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, and it's been close every other time. Every other time it's gone 7. So
I was gonna say, at 7 was the series, the Eric Bledsoe Punk series. So that was the first one.
And like even last
and then you
year,
had the Middleton without Middleton series.
So,
and like even last year, like Celtics fans act like we're not a threat whatsoever, and no one should talk about us. Like we were winning with 5 minutes left in Game 6, about to you were in a dogfight with us. Like
Maxey didn't forget how to shoot. If any Sixer hits his threes in Game 6, we were going home, because Jason Tatum is not that guy. I'm sorry.
I wanted that so bad. I wanted it so bad.
He was that guy in Game 7. That's all that matters.
But he's a Game 7 merchant. Show up other games.
He's literally the reverse of Devin Booker, where Devin Booker never shows up in Game 7s and 6s, but throughout the rest of the series, he averages 30 a game.
Jason Tatum is like Jalen Hurts. And the Celtics are the Eagles.
Yes. I literally said this to Trevor Strunk Hagelbon earlier today. I said, because he was upset about the Eagles, and I said, unfortunately, I've seen how this ends for you guys. You guys are going to the Super Bowl again, and you're going to lose because you're the Celtics.
No.
That's what's happening again. I'm sorry.
If they get
this is our Kyrie year.
Yeah.
This is our Kyrie year.
If they get to the Super Bowl, they're winning.
Yeah.
If they beat the 49ers, there's no way they lose to them.
The 49ers are way better than any other team.
Oh, the 49ers are 3 tiers above everyone.
This is actually I actually think this 49ers team is the best team 5 years, 6 years. This is better than the Chiefs teams that have won the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is going to the blue tent in the divisional round.
Well, of course, sure.
Many people are talking about a Ron Rivera Bounty Bowl.
Ooh, the Tampa team was really good. The Brady Tampa team was really good.
Was really
good.
Yeah. But that year is just hard to judge.
Yeah,
honestly, the Eagles last year were insane.
Broncos.
The Eagles would have finished that off that was an insane team.
Yeah,
that's the most impressive one to me.
Who
is the fused one neck bone Peyton Manning Broncos?
Oh my god! Yeah. Okay, do you?
He couldn't. He had to he literally his body he became an owl. He started having he has an owl body. He has to move his whole fucking body, shoulders and all, to just go through his reads, and they won the Super Bowl.
Do you know who started games for the Broncos that year?
No.
Brock Osweiler.
Osweiler was the starter in week 17.
He was literally Peyton Manning got hurt, and then they put Osweiler in, and he won a bunch of games because their defense was so good. Then Peyton Manning came back and ended up so did he beat? Okay,
no.
Gotcha. Peyton
came back. Happened was Peyton got. I actually was I saw this a week ago, and I was like, that seems so interesting.
Yeah.
Peyton got hurt week 10 or something. Mm-hmm. He came back, or no, something happened. So Peyton got benched, basically. I forget if he came back, sucked, and then they benched him, or if they just benched him, period. And then Peyton got benched, and this was week 15. I think then week 16 or 17, they put Peyton back in. But we were really close to Brock Osweiler being the Super Bowl champion, because that team was winning. That team was winning.
And look, Brock Purdy, I think he's overrated, but I definitely think he's better than Brock Osweiler.
Brock Purdy's good. I hate to say he's good.
I think he's
not the MVP. He's the 9th best quarterback.
Sure,
but
he's
good.
But he's had a good job this season.
The NFC, the race is to get to the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Lions are fighting for the chance to lose 35-17 in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, exactly.
The AFC, that conference is just fighting to lose 31-10 in the Super Bowl.
And Debo comes up hobbling. That's not what you want to see.
The only chance.
That is the only chance, but they are injury prone.
They always do that. They always do that, though. I'm sorry. That's gonna happen.
I think Debo to entertain that line of reasoning. I think you just need an inside man.
Who?
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel, obviously, who knows all the fucking plays that they run.
So the Dolphins versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl?
Listen, I would never get my hopes up to believe the Dolphins will make it out of the first round. If they manage to do that, though, yeah, why not? I still think I'm going to watch Tua die, on the field in
it's definitely
4K.
Possible.
I have no clue who's winning the AFC.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the end of the NFL.
Ultimate shit. That is just the ultimate rock paper scissors.
I wish we were in the AFC so bad.
Yeah, I know the Eagles would sleepwalk to the AFC.
I cannot.
The AFC stinks.
Yeah,
but I do just want to say, tell me, if you saw the Christian McCaffrey thing where he
I saw it.
literally just
Yeah.
called what the Eagles' plays were. I'm
That was-
like, this guy's not even on defense.
I don't
And
even.
he's just like, this
this-
plays the
I don't,
the
even
tight end's gonna
underst-
rotate over.
I don't even understand this Eagles season. Like, I don't understand it. Like, their drive last night, the first drive to start the game and the first drive out of the half, we're like, this is great.
Yeah.
There's creativity. They're moving guys. They're throwing over the middle. And then after those drives, they're like, the only offense is either running it, throwing a little screen pass, or throwing it 50 yards downfield. Like,
It's wild. It's wild.
get it.
It's insane, dude. I've never seen anything. The fact that Brian Johnson woke up and still had his job today
Yeah, I
after Sean
can't
Desai
believe it.
got demoted last week. And look, I am concerned about Jalen Hurts 100%.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to kind of piggyback on that and say I was more concerned with him after the 49ers game than I was after last night. I thought he was fine in the Dallas game. I actually thought
I
he
thought he
was
was fine in this Dallas game.
They just fumbled a ton. Like they had three or four fumbles in that game.
I actually thought like the offense in the Dallas game was honestly
Not
as
the
good as they've looked.
And he played
They
with
just fumbled the ball.
He played with the flu last night. Like if you watch the post game,
Yeah,
he was very
think-
obviously incredibly sick.
And he had moments where he got in a rhythm. He was good when they were throwing it over the middle to the play. I really think the play calling, and I'm not a coach's guy.
No,
And in fact, all year I've been like,
it's fine.
you
It's
gotta
fine.
gotta
Yeah.
blame the players.
Yeah.
But the last 3 weeks, I really think has exposed the coaching staff.
Remember
more so
when
than the
everyone freaked out on me because I was like, Jalen Hurts played bad in the first half of the Bills game, and everyone was like, I'm gonna kill you. And then I was like, I mean, he did. Like he objectively played bad. Since then, it's become more obvious that the offensive staff is absolutely terrible. But regardless, all right, let's finish up this. I believe Parm was
Yeah.
Parm was up next. Parm, who are you eyeing right now?
For this one?
What's that?
Because I'm gonna go off script for this one. I noticed the most interesting and hilarious guy on the trade block was absent from your list. If Kyle Kuzma is not traded to the Philadelphia 76ers,
We already talked about Kuzma.
I need John Collins
Okay.
to
Oh,
join
there
the
we
Washington
go.
Wizards
There
more
it
than I
is.
need air.
Okay, so you want Collins on the Wizards. So
I want Collins, Kuzma, Poole, all on the Wizards.
the bad
the
contracts.
triumvirate. You know
except
what I
for
mean?
Kuzma, that's not fair. He is a good contract. So
I just want to see it.
so tell me what the Wizards could trade because I'm trying to think.
I don't even care. I don't even care. You can. Is Garrison Matthews still there? Probably not.
No.
It doesn't even matter. Like I don't even care who it is. It's just like imagine the hoops you could watch. Like Jordan Poole, Johnny Davis.
It would be amazing. It would be revolutionary stuff.
Like that would be that's the first ever NBA team where you can make a legitimate argument that they could lose to Duke.
Let's go. It is amazing. Okay, so I just want to say it's amazing how bad Jordan Poole is now.
Yeah,
It's actually shot. Like I know that he was. Oh, we only had one good year. He was only good for a year and a half. It is It's breathtaking how bad he is when you watch the Wizards. Like I don't understand how he became this terrible. Like I know,
like a year in it, like before last season, people probably would have had him in the discussion for like one of the best young guards in the league.
dude, we were literally having Poole versus Hero versus Maxey discussions.
I remember
on the podcast a
watching.
year
I
and a
remember
half
because
ago.
I remember we were having that convo in that playoffs. I think we were having like a Poole versus Maxey convo or something in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the finals. Be like, yeah, we lost that one. Like,
Yeah, because he had so many fucking random hot shooting games where you would be like, wow, this guy is just built for the fucking moment. But I know I see Fear the Void, who's a Warriors fan, freaking out in the comments. Did you watch him last year? He's way worse this year than he was last year. Like, look at the numbers, dude. Like he's currently averaging. Hold on, I understand he's not playing with Steph. He's currently averaging.
he's averaging less points this year.
17 points. 17 points, 3.5 assists, 2.8 turnovers, and he is shooting 40. He's actually up way more than he was shooting in the 30s until recently. 41% from 3, 32% from or 41% from the field, 32% from 3. He is a negative 6.6 BPM. Last year he had a negative 1.9 BPM. Like he is the worst player in the NBA, except there's an argument that multiple of the worst players in the NBA are players that were on that Warriors team that won the finals, and it will never fail to amaze me.
So thankful for it.
Thank you so
thankful
much.
Less
for it.
assists per game than Cam Thomas.
Cam
Is
Thomas.
is that what you just right?
I think Cam Thomas is averaging like 2.5 a game. Cam Thomas never
The
passes.
last time I checked, he was like hovering around 3. That's why I wanted to.
Cam Thomas at 2.3.
Okay,
Let's
thank
go.
God.
I
At
want
least,
to put
you know what I mean? Because that would have been really fucking devastating if you're like on Javonte Graham mode that bad. That Cam Thomas is out assisting you.
Junesby is saying in the comments the Wizards are the most cursed franchise. I don't think that's true. They got off the worst contract in the NBA just this last offseason.
Hold on. They didn't get off the worst contract in the NBA. They got off the worst contract in NBA history.
Let's go. And got stuff for him, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like, didn't get a lot, but
Winger.
like,
They got stuff. They should have had to give up 3 first-round picks, and they gave up.
Their biggest mistake was trading
second
Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, or Chris
Yes.
Paul for Jordan Poole and a fake first, like 10 years out. Like that was a bigger mistake than the Beal trade.
Was that a mistake though? Because he's been an excellent tank commander. Like
That's a good point.
If Detroit wasn't having this sensational season, like he's kind of the Drexler to their tank, and it's unfortunate they're in the same year as the Michael Jordan of losing.
We all know the Pistons are going to fall to like 4 or 5. Like,
In the draft, 100%.
Just going to happen.
I know the draft
no
sucks.
one in this draft.
I know the draft sucks, but also every year we have a bad draft, there's always someone that goes in the top 10 that is a difference maker. There's never been a draft since I think the last one would be like 2000 that didn't have someone like
someone.
The last really bad draft was probably the Oladipo draft.
Right. And he should have been the first pick.
And he should have been the first pick. And
he would have been a fine first pick. Not a great one if he doesn't get injured, all that stuff. But everyone said 2020 was bad, but the prospects at the top of that draft were clearer, with LaMelo Ball being the clear headliner and Anthony Edwards a little bit later, kind of coming along. But regardless, you can find, if you're a good enough scout, you can find talent in every draft. Fucking 22-year-old me, who didn't care about the draft nearly as much as I do now, was like, CJ McCollum's really good. You should just draft him. And hey, CJ McCollum turned out to have a really great career in one of the worst drafts ever.
Draft scouting is remarkably simple.
Yes.
Very easy, I think.
The Wizards drafted Johnny Davis with the last front office, though. Not this current.
This is winger, baby.
Bilal Coulibaly is really good, dude.
Off your principle, Johnny Davis, great pick. He was fucking cooking. Like he was
a Taco Bell commercial.
Nuts in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I watched 2 minutes of Bilal Coulibaly's YouTube video last year, and I was like, that guy's good. So I would have drafted him. And
there you go.
It's simple. It's very easy.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, he's athletic. He can pass. He can dribble. And I'm kind of in on him being one of the better guys from this draft class already, just in the very little that I've seen of him. So Bilal Coulibaly, Wizards current front office, innocent for now, but we'll see in time. It is just hilarious that these front offices that didn't pull the plug early enough.
The Wizards are going to draft Modest Buzelis and then find out that he's from Chicago, Illinois, and you're just going to see them projectile vomiting all over the inside of the draft room. Like devastated that he's an American citizen.
They're going to take Topic because Topic is from Serbia, right?
Nicky Topic.
Yeah.
Is Topic is that just because his name's Nikola and it's almost Jokic and it's Nikola?
No, he's apparently the legit. From people that I trust are he's him.
So he's going to be the whole end of the first pick.
He'll probably be the first or second pick of the draft. Yes.
I see this stuff like Alex Sarr. What?
It's Oliver Sarr's brother. I don't trust it.
I don't know who Oliver Sarr is.
Plays for the Thunder.
Yeah, he was on the Thunder. Wasn't he on? I think he's on another team too.
He might have got moved at a certain point. I think he's still on the Thunder though. He's at the Blazers. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a Western Conference team.
Well, regardless, he's still on the Thunder. Got it. Okay, so regardless, from people that I trust have said Kev was on the stream last night talking about a few draft people that he's talked to, and also he's run some numbers and looked at some stuff. He's basically like a bigger Goran Dragic, is what he said. Like if Goran Dragic were 6'6" and better.
That's a good player.
It's a very good player.
Yeah,
like I don't think that's a superstar, but like that's a potential. I mean, Goran Dragic made an all-star team. Like he could have a very good career if he turns into that. So.
I look at the names of the guys in this draft. It's just
it's a bad name draft.
That's why
Rob Dillingham. If you draft
no. Rob Dillingham's a bucket. I like
you can't draft a name named Rob Dillingham in the top 10.
He was the only one I was going to use as a counter example because like I'm seeing.
I've never seen him play.
Never seen him play. That's a bad draft name.
Isaiah Collier.
I think Isaiah Collier is a solid name.
Ron Holland.
Yeah, that's like come on, man. Like you cannot draft a guy named Ron Holland.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are the only team that can draft NPCs like that. Like, by the way, like these are Oblivion characters who turn to you.
Zakahari Rishashare?
No.
You can't draft that guy in the top 5. His name's Zakari.
Can't do it.
The other night, Phillies legend John Kruk was on the Sixers broadcast the other night.
He knows ball.
And he called Robert Covington Ronald Covington. He's like, oh, my daughter loves Ronald Covington.
Ronald Covington.
I was like, I might need to start calling him Ronald Covington now.
I take Tyrese Proctor like top 5.
Oh no! First off, I'm taking anyone named Tyrese in the next 5 drafts.
That's what I mean.
Just in case.
That's what
There's
I mean.
never been a bad Tyrese in the history of the NBA.
His name's Tyrese, I take him. I might take him number 1.
There's a Tyrese Hunter too. I think that is also
I take him top 5.
Yeah. Jacoby Walter's a pretty good name. I actually really like that one.
Nice name.
It's a good one. I'm looking at this.
Ryan Dunn. Trey Alexander. That's
Ryan
a good name.
Dunn? Wait, is that a real name?
Yeah, I forgot Ryan Dunn. There's a Ryan Dunn in this draft, and he spells it the same exact way as the Jackass guy.
Oh my god! I was gonna say Johnny Knoxville. I'm taking Johnny Knoxville 6th.
This is an important. I'm gonna look up Ryan Dunn because
Ryan Dunn has been reincarnated after his deadly crash.
No, I'm out on Ryan Dunn. I was gonna say if Ryan Dunn was white, he would be like a awesome spot up shooter, but he's not white.
No. Ryan Dunn's like a toolsy like.
Yeah, I know, but
guy.
like Ryan Dunn's the type of name you need for like a spot up 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It's a Miami Heat guy. No, Ryan Dunn is going to be drafted by the Miami Heat, and he's going to be awesome. That's the.
Oh my god!
He has like Matisse.
Hang on, this is all. I don't know if all time 25th pick, Carlton Bub Carrington.
Oh yeah, Bub Carrington.
There we go.
Pittsburgh. That's
if he goes by Bub Carrington.
Yeah, he's a bucket.
He can't do Carlton Carrington.
We talked about Bub Carrington on a recent stream.
Oof, this is a rough draft. We got to trade for
Carlton.
DJ Wagner.
DJ Wagner is going to be like a 2nd-round pick now, right?
Yeah, he's stinking up the joint. Sadly.
Yeah, he's been terrible.
Yeah, but
that's the thing about. But the thing about Kentucky is that the 2 guys that they expected to be high prospects, Justin Edwards and DJ Wagner, have been bad, and the 2 guys that they're bringing off the bench, Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepard, have been awesome. Apparently,
yeah.
So I would just take a Kentucky in this type of draft. Just take the Kentucky.
I just want to win, for Garden State hoops. Like we don't get wins like that.
That's fair.
Kaminga
hasn't really panned out. Carl Towns is a win. He's been great this year.
Nas is a win. Asbury Park's finest.
I have to say that I saw that
the entire Wolves.
If you look ahead, you look at the 2025 mock drafts. Some tough names there, like the 4th pick, VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, but you got Cooper Flag.
That's a great name, but I'm looking Dink Pate, top 10 pick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Roto Zikarsky. We've got a problem with these names.
Who's the guy that's going in this draft from Providence? Garway Dual.
That's
a winning name.
That's a
winning name.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this 2025. Drake Powell, Carter, it's fine. Liam McNeely,
Liam McNeely, no way.
We've got a problem with names.
Liam McNeely is someone the Poils from fucking Always Sunny bring as like a friend, like
Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy,
Bobby Clintman in this upcoming draft?
Oh yeah,
we have a serious problem here. I don't know what is
James
Jr.
What is that?
I don't know what is going on with names, but like the drafts, we're getting like 2K auto-generated names. Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
It is becoming, and we're at like the 7th year of your 2K franchise where you're like, I already drafted this guy 4 years
Like,
ago.
If
Why
we
am I getting him again?
If we get proof we're living in a simulation, the first thing we go, okay, the names, you could tell the names really started to drop off.
Loser is calling us out in the comments for being millennials mocking Gen Z names, and
I'm
honestly,
Gen
that
Z,
might be.
so.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah. Chiodo's Gen Z. A B. I
Oh,
also
Parm.
just forgot about that. We're due for a Lakeland. You know, the Lakelands and the Cadens and the Aidens are growing up.
Oh, there is a guy.
If we ever get an Aiden in the NBA, I'm fading that guy for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Looking at the
Why, they
2020,
had
there's no
one.
way.
He was
ever-
like supposed to get drafted like 2-3 years ago.
There hasn't been one I've seen.
The guy from oh fuck, where did he? He's from no, he was like supposed to be the first ever NBA player from Ireland. He
That's
was
gross.
supposed to go like 2 or 3 years ago, and then he was like stinky. I think he played
Yeah.
at like Arizona or Arizona State.
So I just want one more name from the 2025 NBA mock draft. First round pick. Going to Iowa State. Omaha Billieu.
Yeah. Oh no, Omaha Billieu is the fucking truth. in 2K.
I could talk myself
that
into
guy's
that
the
name.
real deal.
Also, one name we don't. Sadly, I just realized we don't have our first round pick in 2025. But
we haven't said how about Wooga Poplar from Miami?
Oh, that's a good name.
That's a good one. Also a neighborhood in Philadelphia, so that's already
Bryson Tucker. We need Bryson Tucker.
Yeah.
Another Bryson. We need another Bryson. Bryson's a winner name.
All right. So 2 things before we get out of here. One, will Bronny get drafted? I'm saying absolutely. Yes.
He deserves to.
Yeah. I think Bronny will get drafted. I think that he might be a late first, second flyer. He might even rise up in a shitty draft. If Detroit really wants to save their franchise, draft Bronny and let LeBron come there for a year.
LeBron is not going to Detroit.
He's not going there.
I think I'm not putting it past that Daryl's plan as a draft.
Is he barely? He's barely playing at USC, but is that not just to get him back after his heart thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say he just almost died. Like I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say they were just getting him back into game shape after a heart issue.
Which, by the way, kind of nuts. Kind of incredible.
Insane that he had a heart attack, dude.
Also,
absolutely.
Also stunning that the NCAA allowed him to play.
Well, they did the same thing.
Keontae Johnson wait for like what felt like 2 years.
I think it was a year, right?
They did that. Well, it was a year, and then he had to transfer, right?
And he almost got a ton. Do you remember the story where he almost got a ton of money from them, but then he turned it down for his last year of eligibility at Kansas State, and then OKC drafted him, but he only got a 2-way. So I hope that he eventually gets a contract, because that would be really shitty if he turned down like $4 million or whatever it was. It was like a lot of fucking money. But anyway, last thing before we get out of here, we've talked a lot about names on here. We've talked about pretty much everyone I wanted to talk about. The last person that we basically didn't talk about at all. Do we think Pascal Siakam actually gets traded? Let's get a rep. No. So Masai's just going down with the ship. They're gonna.
Yes.
So just
one
last thing before. Dude, this we have to talk about this Bill thing. Someone just sent it into the comments. I heard it earlier. He's saying he wouldn't trade Jaime Jaquez for Donovan Mitchell.
Jaime Jaquez is a good player, but I would trade him for Donovan Mitchell.
On the fucking Heat? Jimmy Butler is 34 years old. Jimmy Butler's 34. Jaime Jaquez turns 23 in February.
Jaime Jaquez would be bad on another team. I'm sorry.
I told you. I said coming out, Jaime Jaquez is going to be really good.
I think he's fine. I'm just saying, like, now that he's played for Miami, like, this is just how it goes. Like, it almost doesn't matter. Like, he'll become evil. So, yeah, I don't know. I insane. Bill was on one today. All the RJ Barrett Bill stuff, I knew I could get trolled.
RJ Barrett stinks. Get him out of here. Why do we keep talking about this dude?
That was
We're
the
stuck
thing
with that contract unless they want to include picks.
When Bill said, "Would you rather have RJ Barrett or OG Anunoby?" I literally almost got in a car accident.
He said, "Would you rather have?" He said Donovan Mitchell or OG, but he did say trade one protected pick with RJ for OG, which is insane.
That's what he said. Well, that's what I'm saying. He said that's essentially the same thing. I'm sorry, like it was insane. Bill was on one. I also thought it was really funny that Russillo was just the Knicks are going to trade for Mitchell. Like, I was like, bro, give it up. It's done.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson's better. I'm sorry. Like,
Someone just commented and it said RJ isn't even liked in Canada.
That's devastating.
That's tough.
That's devastating.
That's really tough.
Well, that's not necessarily like a negative. That's a that might mean he has good character.
That was a good one.
I just want to say, Oklahoma City Thunder tweeted out, vote Josh Giddey for NBA.
I saw that.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah,
for the All-Star game?
For the All-Star game, yeah.
Not only does he suck, but also, Jesus Christ, not
only,
good self-awareness.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, not only that, they said development through the work. So there's like a grooming subtext to the tweet in itself. So I don't know, man. That's really bad. I don't understand how you can be a PR department for a professional sports franchise and still
realize, Jesus Christ.
Like, man.
Whew. Okay, so you guys don't think Pascal. So 2 things I want to note here, that the Toronto Raptors potentially traded a top 10 pick for a year of Jakob Poeltl before he expired, and they could have just signed him in free agency, probably using the MLE, or worked out some sort of signed and trade. And then add on top of that, they might not trade Pascal or OG. I think they're going to be traded. They're going to trade Pascal. Jake in the comments says he'll be traded to the Hawks. I think that I've heard a lot about the Pascal to the Hawks stuff too. That's not like a new thing, but I think that the Hawks are going to end up going in a different direction, and they're more likely to retool at this deadline. I think if he does get traded, it's going to be to the Pacers or the Warriors. And then the last thing, because Lyle commented this, and I did want to bring him up, but I forgot about him. Do we think that Jalen Green gets traded at this deadline?
Probably not.
He doesn't.
No.
My thing with him is like he doesn't have trade value.
That's the thing.
It's going to be.
Going to give anything for it.
It's going to be a situation where like he will be included in a trade as a bonus. Like, oh, we could take a flyer on Jalen Green too. Not like we have traded Jalen Green with these contracts and picks, and he is the piece of it. It will be okay. We traded a bunch of stuff for a good player that is, and the other team happened to acquire Jalen Green and is taking a flyer on him. I would absolutely be shocked if he had real trade value. But then again, Markelle Fultz got traded for the pick that became Tyrese Maxey.
But that's the thing, though. That you still look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
like you still look like a that Markelle Fultz trade. You still end up looking like a fucking dumbass because you traded for a pick that you already had. Yeah. And traded it away for Anzej Pasecnik.
Yeah, that was the horrible part about that
Jonathan
trade.
Simmons, who literally was out of the NBA 4 months after the completion of the deal.
Yeah, it was
like I think that's so devastating for a GM's reputation that they'll let a guy they'll just let a guy like flunk out of the league and go fuck off to Turkey before like they'll risk pantsing themselves.
Well, Jalen Green will get a bunch more chances, and I honestly think he should. Like, I don't think that you should give up on a player at 21 years old.
But I don't think you're gonna trade him to do that. Like, I think they'll pick him up or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's gonna end up being a trade where they end up trading him with picks and contracts to a team that's accepted that they're rebuilding. I don't think they would trade him to Washington for like Kuzma or something, but like a better player probably. But like they're including a bunch of picks and contracts.
That would actually be so. Imagine straight swap Jalen Green for Cade Cunningham.
I do just want to point out there, Jalen Green for Ivy. Someone said in the comments. I want to point this out. The reason that they traded Sadiq Bey for James Wiseman was because they said they had Wiseman at the top of their draft board in 2020, which should have told you that you shouldn't trust your scouting at all because he was a terrible player.
Yeah.
Having said that, number 2 on their board and someone they considered taking with the first pick in the 2021 draft was Jalen Green. And I don't think they ever wanted Jaden Ivey. I'm going to be completely honest. So,
I don't think they did either. I think they
keep in mind.
Fell
Stay
on
woke.
that, so.
Stay woke.
Let's see.
Okay, so thank you for joining us, everyone. I'll be back for the Sixers Timberwolves stream tomorrow. Sign up for the Patreon if you have not already. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. So, bye-bye. Take care.
Peace.